Hello, I am Dan.
And I'm Can.
And this is A Pebble. How we doing, folks? This week's episode is brought to you by Spiritual Rebrand Clothing. You need a wardrobe change. All of your three nails, one cross, plus one cross equals forgiven t-shirts, or every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess t-shirts are no longer in use. Spiritual Rebrand Apparel is a new company offering clothing to the deconstructed mind, where it personalizes it to the unique and authentic journey that you're going on. Shop at spiritualrebrandapparel.org. edu.
EDU. I don't think that would be an EDU, but whatever.
Whatever. So we're coming to you. It's a little awkward today. We're doing it in the middle of the day. I'm usually working at this time, but
me too. Just because I work from home a lot is not mean I'm not working. You gotta change. You got some stinking thinking going on, Dan.
Okay. I'm just relaying my perspective on things, and I'm allowing you to have your perspective so you can chime in. Yes, you are doing a lot of work at home with the house, with your businesses and everything else going on. Yes, I understand this.
Okay.
But Snowmageddon's going on. I'm allergic to snow. So you may hear some winds whipping in the background as the blizzard of 25 is blowing through. It's a weird fucking week. It's Wednesday. It was 85 on Monday, 79 yesterday, and a blizzard today.
Yeah, and you guys probably cannot hear it, but I can hear the wind howling outside.
So, welcome to Nebraska.
Yeah.
And 50s tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. So,
is it?
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be nice this weekend then?
Well, nicer than today.
Hopefully the snow will be melted right away.
Yeah, well, it's wet, light snow. So, anyways, with that out of the way, we are a little off our schedule, but that's all right because it's not going to affect
it's not going to affect you guys at all. This is still going to come out at the same time.
It's going to come out at the same time, but we don't know what's going to come out.
Maybe we'll sound actually more alert and no more yawning. Anyways.
Candid conversations. What are they about today?
Well, first of all, I noticed when you sneezed, and we still say bless you. I still do it. Sometimes, I always say bless you.
It's a societal thing. Atheists still say bless you.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, that's kind of interesting. We still use that phrase. It just means, I hope you feel better. Or, I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting that we still use that phrase. Okay, let's see. I'm having ChatGPT help me come up with questions to ask you.
Well, that's your new boyfriend, so of course he's going to help you.
ChatGPT is my friend.
Yeah, friend with benefits.
What the hell? There are people that have had fallen in love with their ChatGPT, and I'm like, what do you use it for? I use it for business. That's what I use it for, and it helps.
I use it for business. It's all business.
I think there's some projection going on. What's going on over there?
I make it for ad reads and recipes.
I don't know if I trust ChatGPT's recipes.
It gives me good ideas. And
it can give you ideas, but I wouldn't follow that recipe necessarily, especially if it's baking. I would be researching that a little bit. Anyways. Okay, so first of all, can you think of your favorite Bible character?
You're asking the old Catholic boy.
You know some of the characters. Name some of them.
Noah.
Oh, wow. Good job.
Noah, Jonah, Simona.
I don't think there's a Simona, but maybe.
Habona. Barona. Okay, crickets. So,
you don't know any of them?
I do, for no other reason than just my pure narcissism. I always like Daniel.
Oh, wow. Go figure. What do you like about Daniel? Just his name or what?
Yeah. I was like,
do you even know what Daniel did?
Daniel in the den of lions. I'd have to really think about what Daniel did.
He was like
he was a prophet.
Prophet in his time, yeah.
And he was an end time prophet. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Jesus, come back.
He did prophesy about the end time. Not end of time, but end times, yes.
Yes.
Or end of the age. Okay, so that was a boring one. Moving on.
I had a priest, his favorite was Zacchaeus. Maybe this will help.
Zacchaeus? That's how I would say that, but Zacchaeus. Okay, the guy who climbed up the tree?
Yeah.
To see Jesus?
Because he was short, and Monsignor O'Donnell was a short priest.
Isn't that weird? We always seem to like somebody who we relate to, obviously. Because I always liked the woman at the well. I liked her because she was
you like water.
Because I like water. I mean, it's obvious.
And she was all about that water.
Oh, I forgot my water.
See? Woman at the well. If you were the woman at the well, you'd have plenty.
I liked her because she was like kind of the outcast of all the other women. And I think I didn't really resonate with her until after deconstruction started. Yeah. I didn't really notice her that much until then. Then I noticed her. She caught my attention because I read that story and I was like,
there's a reason for that, because the patriarchy always wants to push down the woman's perspective. So they're not going to highlight these stories because it shows the character of Jesus more than anything else, that he actually went towards the women, and which was against anything at the time. You weren't teaching women. You weren't, you weren't cohorting with women.
Yeah, the woman at the well, he's sitting there talking to her, and his disciples had gone to pick up food for them.
Yeah.
And they come back and they're like astonished that he's sitting there talking, first of all, to a woman, and also she's a Samaritan woman, which they didn't talk to because Samaritans were considered like half-breeds, basically. Yeah. So they were people who probably came from parents or grandparents that some were Israelites and some were Samaritans. Is that right? Yeah. Or no, some were not Samaritans because they were called Samaritans. I don't know. It was just two tribes, not tribes. What did they call themselves? They didn't say races.
I don't know.
Just like two groups that believed differently, basically had a child. Two of those people got together and had children. And those children were considered like less than, which is not, we still have that kind of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, but Jesus was sitting there talking to her and he didn't, he said, go get your husband to her. And she's like, I don't have a husband. He's like, I know you don't. Like, the guy you're living with isn't your husband. You've had 5 husbands before.
And this is the character you associate with the most.
And anyways.
We'll blow right past that.
She was like, yeah, how did you know? Like, she was just kind of shocked that he knew this about her. He didn't tell her she was bad. He didn't shame her. He just told her the facts. This is a fact. And she knew it was a fact. And when she ran back and told people about him, she was like, he knows everything about me. He knows this stuff about me. And she didn't say anything about, we just assume a lot of times in the Bible that all these, especially the women, but the men too, that they just changed and stopped doing the things they were doing before.
Yeah.
Like, they were a prostitute before. They're definitely not a prostitute now, once they believed or once they sided with the Israelites. How do we know that? The Israelites, there's stories of Israelites, women being prostitutes.
Yeah.
And men being with them.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're just making this assumption. We put that over the text. And then we say that that's biblical.
It's the whole idea that this cleansing of Jesus whenever he encounters you. So when we were evangelical, once you let Jesus into your life,
now you're going to follow the laws.
Now you're following everything. You're starting to be made perfect. So you can't go back. So if they want to have that to be true, of course, if you were a prostitute, you would have to.
You can't be a prostitute still. Yeah. That's why people don't understand today. They'll go, someone who believes in Jesus, like we were taught, I was taught that you can't be a Christian and be LGBTQ at the same time.
Yeah.
But you can most definitely follow Jesus and be LGBTQ.
Yeah.
You cannot fit into certain types of Christianity because there's a lot of types and they all think they're right. I saw Greg Locke, I saw a TikTok, someone talking about him, and
Stephanie Joe Warren.
Was she the one doing it?
Well, that's the one you sent me.
Oh, yeah. Where he was talking about these women in the Bible, where they brought their baby before Solomon, or, that one baby was killed.
The 2 hookers.
Yeah, and he called them prostitutes. Were they prostitutes in that story? I think he put that in there because I don't think I just think they were women. Why? Because they weren't married?
Because they were from a house.
Or he thought they were married?
It was a crack house.
Yeah, he was calling it a crack house. Like, he was just being so...
He was reading into it a lot.
Oh, he was reading into it a lot. And he thinks he's biblical. And he would say that he is biblical. And if you disagree with him, he would just kick you out because he's God, really. In his own mind, he is the ultimate authority.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. It was just frustrating to hear because women are always, unless they're married, unless they're living by all the rules that these guys agree with, they're not godly in any way. No. They have to be a trad wife and perfect at it.
Yeah.
Because that's their idea of what a biblical wife is. But if you go to Proverbs 31, that woman, she's running businesses from her home, So, I don't know.
This is what you get when you get an early morning podcast with us. Both of us coughing and hacking and clearing ourselves up. In the evening, we got it all out of our systems. But we're yawning. Which one do you like better?
Listen.
Hackies or yawnies?
Oh, God. Gross. Anyways, okay, let's see if I can find one other question to ask you.
Oh, she's going back.
I'm going back to ChatGPT. There was a couple that I was like...
What's his name?
Cole. I didn't pick it. I had to pick a voice, and I liked the voice. I think that's a subconscious programming that I went to a male voice rather than a female voice because male voices have always held authority. Yeah. So maybe I should switch it to a female voice to kind of reprogram myself there because that's problematic probably. But I liked the voice, I think, because I'd heard TikToks with it. Yes, it's funny that I know his name, but his name is just attached to his voice. That's the only I didn't name him. Okay. And I only use him for business stuff. Sometimes spiritual stuff, I'll ask an odd question if I'm trying to figure something out.
This is going on TikTok.
Huh?
This is going on TikTok.
Oh, God.
Candy and Cole, CNC Music Factory.
I'm detecting a little jealousy of Cole.
There is, yeah.
Daniel.
Cole's taking away my thunder.
Instead of going to ask you, I'm like, I'm going to ask Cole. Cole knows more stuff than you do, which is kind of true.
Wow, I saw that side. Eyebrow.
Eyebrows. I had one. I had one on my own, but I can't remember what it was.
No, of course.
I mean, well, and partially ChatGPT is kind of doing questions that are not really.
Not really.
Okay, this is the thing I was thinking about. Okay, you know how Christians are called hypocrites? I'm going to cough again. There's like a tickle in my throat and I don't have my water.
Go to the well.
The Christians are called a lot of times hypocrites and they can't figure out why for some reason.
They can't figure out why?
No, they don't. They're like, we don't know why we're called hypocrites. We're not saying that you have to follow. I'm like, yes, you are. You're telling everybody, you're pointing out the sins of every single person around you. Well, basically saying you get to escape it because you've believed a certain way.
There's so many basic hypocritical things to the belief. Christ saved everything, cleaned you. You don't do anything. You don't choose. You don't pick. But you have to choose. You have to pick, and you have to follow these rules.
Yeah, I know. Well, and it's interesting. I was thinking, I've never been called a hypocrite. Ever.
Not to your face.
No, but I think there is something to that. I think, have you been calling me a hypocrite?
Maybe any kids have talks.
I mean, besides like maybe with the kid, but not for my Christian beliefs when I was a Christian even. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be because either they were doing it behind my back, which is entirely possible, because I was in the group of Christians, but I was always kind of like, why are we being called hypocrites? I didn't like that. And I was trying to figure out what we were doing. What are we saying that makes us come across that way? And I think because I was willing to listen, I was willing to change, I was willing to, and I think there's a type of person, maybe it's not a type of person, it's just a point of maturity that you get to where you realize, because, like kids get kind of set in their ways. They think, they're toddlers, they want it their way, and they don't know how to adjust to things that are not what they want.
Yeah.
And they have to learn that. And I think it's the same way in spirituality, and Christianity can be a very immature type of spirituality in many ways, at least the type of Christianity I grew up in, just very immature, like we're right. Nobody else has it like we do. We have it right. And if you don't agree with us, then you're out.
Yeah.
And so then when they're saying like, you need to believe in Jesus died on the cross for your sins, right? They say that to people. Then people believe it, and then they're like, oh, now you gotta, and it's free. Oh, now you gotta live all this certain way.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the hypocrisy is you're saying you're free. First you say it's free.
Yeah.
And then you say all these strings are attached to it.
Yeah.
And you have to live this way. And you judge others, even though you're guilty of the worst crimes. Christianity has been accused of way worse crimes. They've been not accused. They've been actually caught.
Yeah.
Like the last person I'm going to leave my kid with is like a pastor. I'm not joking. If I have a lineup of like an atheist, let's say a bartender, a Buddhist, a Hinduist, is that what you would call her? Or someone who believes in Hinduism. And then you have, I don't know why the bartender's in there. He's an odd little duck. But then I have a evangelical pastor or a Catholic priest. Oh my God, no, I'm not leaving my kid with those two at all. They would be the least I would trust my kids with. And a lot of Christians, that would be the first they would trust. They don't understand like some of the phrases in the Bible where it's like referring to like evil as it's an angel of light. Like it looks good, but it's really not. Or wolves in sheep's clothing. That means they look like the sheep. They look and sound, but they're actually preying on people. Well, that's, they want to believe that wolves in sheep clothing are obvious people that they think are bad. No, they look like you.
Yeah. It's this whole, I don't want to leave my kids at the drag time story hour down the street because those people are going to be a bad influence and they're going to do things to my kids. And the people that are saying this are the state senator from Minnesota that was promoting Christian values. And
driving 3 hours to go do that.
Every Sunday I say goodbye to my family after our day of church and family dinners and my family values, and drive to Minneapolis to go work for you, the people, and got caught soliciting a 14-year-old.
He was like pretending to be a young person too, wasn't he?
I didn't see all the details. I just saw that he got arrested. They got set up. The old Dateline special.
But what will Christians a lot of times say? What will his congregation likely, if we go by history, what will they likely say? He's been set up. It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true.
And then if they find out it is, forgive the pastor. He's just a man.
Yeah.
But they don't have that same kind of mercy for people in the LGBTQ community who they consider sinning, which it's not a sin, but they consider it a sin. And if you marry someone of the same sex, or you even really admit attraction, they will treat you different for sure. At least when I was going there, that's the way it was.
So in a nutshell, you can get away with anything as long as you claim to be a Christian because you just gave into the flesh.
You can, but there's certain limitations on that too. If you claim to be a Christian and LGBTQ, you're not considered a Christian. They won't believe you.
No.
So there's certain sins.
Yeah.
And I put that in quotes because they're not really sins, but you know what I'm saying? According to them, there are certain sins that are just, you can't be a Christian and do that. But there's a whole lot of things you can do as a Christian. You could be a pedo.
Yeah.
And be a Christian. And they will, and you can continue to be caught in that.
We know one.
Yes.
That served 10 years and accepted back into the folds.
Yeah. Right back into the, near people that there was harm done.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that those people should be punished forever. I'm saying they need help a lot of times, like in that case. But it's like, you should not be allowed to be around the people that you preyed on or anybody that's like them. No children. Yeah. You should not be allowed around children, and probably for the rest of your life. Yeah. No, for the rest of your life. You know, I know that a lot of times it is something that started in their youth where their sexuality got stunted because it happened to them. They need help. Mental health needs to come in and work with them. But to put them back out where they're around people that are just, when they're not, it's just stupid. But the Christian church is a perfect place for stuff like that.
Oh, it's
because
a
of the
and that was,
hypocrisy.
I think we mentioned it a while ago, but there's certain areas that are just breeding grounds for this. It's movie studios for kid shows, churches, daycares, all these businesses and everything that's associated with kids. And there's adult authority.
Coaches, teachers. Yeah, that's where it's
they're
found.
breeding grounds for pedos. But
the church is different than like a public school. You're background checked and you're held accountable by other people and stuff. In coaches, yes, there's some that slip by there, but I think it's more than probably teachers in my
team I coach with our kids. I had to do a background check.
Yeah. And you should have other coaches and people watching, and you should never be alone with the children or one child ever. Yeah. But in churches, it's okay. They'll leave their kids alone with youth pastors and
it's
head
because
pastors.
The adults, and I think church plays into it especially because there's guards dropped. Oh, these are
you just automatically trust because of the position the person holds.
Why wouldn't someone that has them proclivities want to work there and say, I could fake this, I could be in here, and this is the perfect place for me to hide and do my thing.
I don't even know if they're that sneaky. I think sometimes they think, I can be around kids. I love kids, because they probably do love kids a little too much. And they're like, I love kids. I want to work around them. And then this stuff starts coming out.
Yeah. And then they have the benefit of saying, you can't tell anyone about this because then God will punish you. Do you want to be burned in hell for eternity because of what you did?
Or even if it gets exposed and it gets found out by the parents, it's like, you don't want to ruin like this whole congregation because of this, and most parents probably just.
And the sick thing too is a lot of times that the congregation or someone else will be like, well, what was the kid doing?
Yeah. What was she wearing?
Yeah.
A lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah. What did that kid do to lead this on?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you say that about a 10-year-old?
Yeah.
Dealing with an adult? There's someone that should be responsible in that situation, and it's not the 10-year-old.
No.
So.
No, definitely not.
So, I mean, it's, the hypocrisy and all that, it's just naturally into it because it's all man-made. If it was God-made, there wouldn't be any. If all of it was true and inerrant and brought to you by God himself, brought to you live and in color by God, you wouldn't have these issues. You wouldn't have this hypocrisy. This is just more proof that this has all been created by man throughout time.
Well, yeah. I was thinking just the other day, like, I don't understand why these Christian nationalists, because I don't think they're true followers of Christ whatsoever, but
no, they're not.
They would call themselves Christians, and a lot of them don't even know what anything is in the Bible at all. But why do they need to legislate it? Why can't their God just make it happen? Like, okay, let's say abortion is legal. Why can't God just block all abortions as they're happening, making it not happen? He doesn't. Is he so weak that he needs legislation? So the law is more higher than God's power. This law is stronger than their God. And that should get them to go, that's weird. Because you go back to the Old Testament, and there were so many times that, maybe not so many times, but there was definitely times where they would write that God told them, to get smaller groups. I think it was Gideon. And he basically told Gideon, like, watch the guys who go to get drinks at the river, like if they scoop it up with their hands, pick them, and if they put their mouth down, don't pick them.
Yeah.
And it was just to slim it down because God didn't want them to say they had won the war, but that it was God. God will get the credit, right?
Yeah.
So he was trimming them down to less and less rather than needing more and more physical human might and power.
It's all just more proof that it's all about man.
It
and
is.
Man creating this, because if it was truly about God, then God could let it happen and sort through the wheat and chaff himself.
He could,
And
he would be powerful enough to do it.
It's not.
You wouldn't need politicians to do this stuff.
But if man needs to do something for it, then that's man doing it. It's not God doing it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's just
so.
And then the law is the powerful thing, and it's not your God.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So anyways, it's all bullshit.
That's our opinion, and we're sticking to it.
It's all bullshit. So, and it's created by man to control man. So, with that being said, the blizzard's really coming in hard now. So we better wrap her up. DannyCan.com. Go there, check it out. Get all of your Drop the Stones, transform life needs met at DannyCan.com. Candy's writing blogs now. She's enjoying herself blogging away. The blogger. So go on DannyCan.com. You'll get all that stuff. Candy's websites for hypnotherapy and her other podcast that she's doing. And then, as always, 5 stars only, because if it's not a God thing and if it's man doing it all, you can prove that by giving us 5 stars. 4 stars.
If God doesn't want it, he will drop it down to 1 star.
Yeah. Oh, shit. We just set ourselves up for all these Christians to come in and vote against us.
Test your gods.
5 stars, please. We got to prove our point.
Oh, no, wait. They wouldn't test God because they say, I don't know, that one's all messed up anyways, too, yeah.
So
give us 5 stars, and if God doesn't want us to have it, he'll drop it.
Yep. And then remember, if you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe, because we can use the followers. And remember, listen to us.
Because we have ridiculous opinions and we stick to them until somebody changes our mind.
No, that's true. Bye.
Bye.